Mr. Corey Thompson, 180 professional caps between the NRL and the Super League in England, made over a decade playing professionally as well. In 2021, represented the Indigenous All-Stars as well, mate. What's the biggest highlight from your career if you were to drill it down to one thing?
I've got a couple, eh?
Okay, here we go.
But say one thing. I'll say one thing.
Okay.
So the Indigenous All-Stars would be such a crazy highlight. We're at Townsville. It was raining. The Maori team did the haka in front of us. It was raining. Fire was blowing up behind the goalpost, and that was such a surreal experience. I remember the Grand Final, 2014, when I played for the Bulldogs. That was surreal. That was my first year playing professionally, and we made it to the Grand Final. And
that's crazy. What were the key things you did to prepare, meant to prepare for big games?
Massive on visualisation.
Okay.
So, visualising what you want to do, what the outcome is. How you're going to perform, what you're going to do in certain scenarios.
What do you reckon is the biggest thing that people don't understand, don't realise behind the closed doors of a professional athlete?
I think
the greats, right? The true greats. What do you think separates them from everyone else?
Yeah, so they're...
Mr. Corey Thompson, mate, welcome to the Top 1% podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure. We've known each other for quite a while now, man, and I've always been super intrigued by your backstory, man, and been super impressed by what you've achieved to date as well, man. So, mate, I'm absolutely pumped and looking forward to diving into this journey with you.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Dude, to give you a bit of or to run through your rap sheet, mate, 180 professional caps between the NRL and the Super League in England, mate, over a decade playing professionally as well. In 2021, represented the Indigenous All-Stars as well, mate, which obviously must have been a pretty really cool thing for you.
Yeah, really cool.
Awesome, man. Mate, you're also fit as hell. I've known you for a long time. You've always been a shredded, jacked bloke. And man, also one of the nicest blokes I know as well, man. You're an absolute gentleman, dude. So I'm absolutely pumped to jump into this thing, mate, and learn your whole backstory.
Let's have a chat.
Mate, what I really want to know as well, I think one of the things before we jump in and kind of wind all the way back to the start like I normally do, I'd love to know, because I've never asked you, what is the career highlight? What's the biggest highlight from your career if you were to drill it down to one thing?
I've got a couple, eh?
Okay, here we go.
But say one thing. I'll say one thing.
Okay.
So the Indigenous All-Stars would be such a crazy highlight. We're at Townsville. It was raining. Both, we lined up. The Maori team did the haka in front of us. It was raining. Fire was blowing up behind the goalpost, and that was such a surreal experience. I remember my Gold Coast teammate. He was playing for the Maori team. He was across from me, and he was just death staring me during the haka. And I thought, fuck,
and this is your mate?
It's me, it's me.
True, bro.
But that was such a crazy highlight. The Grand Final, in 2014 when I played for the Bulldogs, that was surreal. That was my first year playing professionally, and we made it to the Grand Final. And
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, some people don't know that. So you don't actually get to warm up on the field for the Grand Final. So you arrive on the bus, you're under the stadium. You check the stadium before the game, but then that's it. You're underneath. And you hear the crowd building, you hear the pre-game entertainment, the fireworks, the noise, and you don't actually know the severity of it until you run out.
Yeah.
And then the smoke settles, there's 85,000 people there. You line up for the anthem, you look up, and just a sea of people all the way up to row Z of ANZ Stadium. And then the anthem plays, and then it's on.
That's crazy.
It's such a
how's that feel? Dude, I'm getting goosebumps. You talking about was it electric or?
Yeah, so you're under the stadium, you put your boots on, you hear the bass from the pre-game entertainment and the fireworks and the crowd and the games before it, and you're just there going, fuck, you warm up in the shed, so you don't get a feel for anything, kick catches in the shed, so that's different.
Yeah.
You warm up, catch pass in the shed, tackle pads, and then the 2-minute bell rings and sort of just goes silent, and then
what's the energy like in there?
You sort of just can't stop moving. It's like you've had 20 coffees and you're shaking, all the boys are looking at each other.
Yeah.
And then 2-minute bell goes, you walk out, and then you just run on.
Yeah.
And then the fire goes off. The Bulldogs fans are crazy. They were up banging the drums, flowing their flags, and then you run out and you're all hyped, and then you have to stop for the anthem, and then you're sitting there still jittering.
Yeah. so the pre-workout's going
wanted to get going, and then you kick off, and it's just so surreal. And
that's crazy.
It's crazy. And then another one would be probably, I grew up in Brisbane, so Suncorp Stadium was the best thing I've ever known. And then a goal of mine in my career was to play at Suncorp, so my family come, because obviously I was at the Bulldogs at the time, so friends and that, it was hard for them to get to Sydney to watch me play. So it was Friday night at Suncorp. They always get a full house for the Broncos, so that was another career highlight, playing at Suncorp for the first time.
Yeah, that's unreal, man. That's unreal, mate. With the grand final in your first year as well, mate. How old were you for that?
So I was a pretty late debutant. So I was 23.
Okay,
but I debuted when I was 22, turned 23 during the year, and then played as a in the grand final.
That's crazy.
Still in my early 20s, but a bit older than some of the other debutants.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that's wild, dude. And playing in the GF in your first year,
my
first professional year, man, that's crazy.
I was on matches too, so my contract was still good money.
Yeah.
But obviously being a rookie, I was on match payments too. So it was $3,000 a game, and I played 27 games that year.
No way.
Yeah. So young Corey was laughing every time I got picked for the game. And the next year I wasn't on matches, and it disappeared real quick.
Nah, that's awesome, mate. One of the other things before we jump into the backstory, I've always I always find this funny asking like professional athletes as well, man. What was the funniest sledge you ever heard on the footy field?
It'd just be from drunk people. They would, I'd say like, Thompson, you're fucking shit, or
what about other players, but you know what I mean? Like, where just something said that's funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's more of a forwards thing.
Okay.
The forwards get into each other during the scrum, but the outside backs, they should have just laughed at each other.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like I remember Daniel Tupou, I always had a good battle with him. He's about 6'10".
Yeah.
But an absolute legend of a bloke, and I was a lot shorter than him. And I'd always used to say to him, laugh to him. When they wouldn't kick to him, I said, they know because I'll jump over the top of you. That's why they don't kick to you. They don't trust you.
And what, he's 6'10", you're about 5'10"?
Yeah. On a good day, I'm 5'10". But he just laughed. So me and him always used to love playing against each other. So that was probably a funnier banter.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Mate, that's awesome. Well, dude, man, I'm absolutely amped to jump into this thing, man, and find out the whole thing, mate, the whole kit and caboodle about the big man.
Yeah.
Man, take us back to obviously Brisbane, mate. I know, like, obviously, mate, that's your hometown. Like you said, the Suncorp Stadium playing there was the dream. Man, give us a run through. How did it all play out, man?
Yeah, so I was born at the Mater Hospital, grew up, got taken back to my grandparents' house. So dad was only 17 when I was born. So he still lived with his parents. Got taken to a house probably about 300 meters from Suncorp. As a baby. Grew up there, moved to Townsville with my mum after my parents split up. Dad was 17, mum was 21. Dad was 18, sorry. Mum was 21. Had a kid, probably never gonna work, but went with mum to Townsville. Dad stayed in Brisbane, moved back down probably as a young toddler. And then really just bounced around rental properties.
So where'd you live? Like, where were you growing up in Brizzy?
So Markrabat, just south of Garden City. So lived there, and then went to primary school at Wishart Primary. Went to high school at Mansfield State High School. Played juniors at East Markrabat. So pretty much just stayed in that vicinity. From 3 years old till 21 years old. So
and just renting the whole time?
So we bounced around a lot. We bounced around a lot, but I never knew, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, why we were bouncing around. Like, I always felt like I had a great childhood. You know, I wasn't like I was put out or didn't get fed or something like that. But, there would have been during my high school year alone. So you're in high school for 5 years. We would have lived in maybe 6 or 7 rental properties.
No way.
Yeah. So
and what was the biggest reason for that? Was just your mum didn't have money?
I had no idea. You know what I mean? So like, I had no idea why we were living, whether the owners moved back in or the lease finished or what, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, I had a pretty good childhood. Like, didn't miss out on anything. I think mum and my stepdad hit it fairly well.
Okay.
But, the only people I knew that owned houses were friends of mine. And it always baffled me. I thought, fuck, how the fuck do you own properties? I mean, like, you must be multi-millionaires. But in saying that, I always got presents on my birthday. Always got presents on Christmas. Got to play footy. Got to play sports at school. Went to 2 great schools, Wishart Primary and Mansfield State High. That was like semi-private. So had to wear high grey socks and belt and shirt tucked in. So.
We'll find those photos, mate. We'll find those photos.
Well, it wasn't a rugby league school. So it was known for music and foreign languages.
Really?
Yeah. And I was fucking shit at both of them. So I don't know I don't know how I lasted there for 5 years and got my grade 12 certificate. So that was probably one thing mum instilled in me. So, I wasn't the best at school, but I went every day. She said that she taught me the importance of getting your certificate It shows that I can actually finish something. I don't drop out just because I don't like something or quit. So stayed and got my year 12 certificate, and then went into the workforce.
Yeah, sweet. And so while you're at school, you're obviously playing footy.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started?
I was 6 when I started.
Okay.
So I was supposed to start when I was 5, but my dad thought I was too small.
Yeah.
And then I'm still waiting for the growth spurt now. So I don't know.
Still waiting for it to come through.
I'm still waiting for fucking to be tall. So.
you went for the debut season for the Bulldogs. He's like, mate, you're still not big enough.
Yeah. So I ended up playing T-ball for a year.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, at 5.
Yeah. So when I was 5, I played T-ball for Maracaibat at the baseball place. So played T-ball for a year, then went into rugby league when I was 6. So and only stopped playing 2 years ago. So
there you go.
From 6 to 33, I played rugby league every single year of my life.
Yeah, right. And so absolutely, you've loved it as well ever since you started all the way back then?
Yeah, I loved it. Back then, kids are lucky these days. They get to wear boots and headgear. Back then, we were barefoot till under 10s.
Really?
Yeah.
So you didn't like study each other or
whatever?
Yeah. Really?
So we were barefoot till under 10s, and in winter, barefoot, 8:30 a.m. kickoff. Perfect. What could go wrong? But we weren't allowed to wear boots till under 10s.
Yeah, right.
And we had to play on a separate field. They used to call it a mini field.
Yeah, right.
We weren't allowed to play on the 100-meter normal field.
Do you reckon being small in that youth as well, do you reckon that was almost like a good thing for you? Like
definitely.
Toughened you up,
Yeah, definitely.
You play against some big, like especially big Islander boys and stuff.
Yeah, and my best mate, he's still my best friend to this day. He's 6'6", big red. He was there when I was 6 playing. So he was the bigger fella. So I probably got to learn not to get tackled by him. And I think that was a strength in my professional career. I sort of knew how not to get smashed.
Yeah.
I used my height and my agility as an advantage and sort of weaved my way around traffic.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. It's funny, because when you think about it, like the best boxers in the world are like the most technically advanced at not getting hit. The whole game is not getting hit.
Yeah.
Effectively, you score points in a way, but win with that. It sounds like it was very, very similar of like, it's almost like chess of avoiding getting hit, avoiding getting taken out.
I have a very competitive nature to myself.
Yeah.
Like I fucking hate losing.
Yeah.
I understand it's a part of the process in life, but it just makes me wild when we lose. And even when I verse someone, like, I may not always play well, but say if I was marking you, I would do everything I can for you not to have a good game.
Yeah.
Nothing dirty, but I'd try my hardest for you not to have a good game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that helped me throughout my whole career. I'd always try and make sure I played my best and outcompete who I was marking. Yeah,
for sure. So, man, what do you think were the things in your childhood? So obviously you had your mum. Obviously you were a smaller bloke playing in that sort of environment where you got big blokes that you're trying to avoid, and obviously that was a skill set that you took forward into a teenage career, and then obviously into the NRL as well. You had your mum pushing you with the lessons of making sure you're finishing something and following something through. Man, is there anything else you reckon in your childhood that contributed to the ability and the resilience that it would have taken to obviously go pro at 22, and then you had a long career, man, of 11 years there as well, professional?
To be honest, I'm not sure how I got my competitive nature.
Okay.
But, growing up, going from different rental to different rental, and, my parents splitting up when I was 6 months, and I'll touch on a bit later when we talk about but, mum and my stepdad were really into drinking.
Okay.
My stepdad was really into gambling. And I sort of learned what not to do, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, say that they smoke because their parents smoked, or they, you know what I mean? They gambled because their parents gambled. But I sort of took the approach of watching what they did and learning what not to do.
How did you learn to do that at such a young age, though?
Sort of just knew that it didn't affect us positively.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like everything that happened didn't really bring any positivity to life. Like gambling and drinking, it would always end poorly.
Yeah.
And there would be times where, on a Tuesday night, would have to go pick up my stepdad from the pub who gambled, $600, $700, $800 just because.
Yeah, right.
And then, at functions that either one of them would drink or they would both drink, and then cab home, and on footy games, it would, who got to drink that game.
Yeah, right. So it was almost like a lifestyle for them.
It was a lifestyle. And I got a great story about them too later that, it's really it's a great story. Like, I love telling it. They're in a great place in their lives at the moment. So I like sharing.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. You want to dive into it now, or you want to save it?
Yeah, we can go into it now.
Yeah, let's go into it now, man.
Yeah, so obviously growing up, they were both heavy drinkers.
Yeah.
Mum didn't really gamble.
Okay.
That I know of. My stepdad was a massive gambler.
Mm-hmm.
He'd gamble, he'd drink. pass out in places in the house.
Hectic.
We'd have to wake him up. They would fight. Just constant, bad household that was fueled by alcohol and gambling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until when I was at the Bulldogs, I had to move to England. And they couldn't really afford to fly to Sydney to see me, let alone fly to England.
Bloody oath.
So they both made a pact, cold turkey, stop smoking, stop drinking, just randomly, because they couldn't afford to come visit me in England.
Yeah.
So they downloaded this app that rewarded them. It showed them how many days they hadn't smoked or drank, and it also showed them how much money they had saved by not purchasing.
Hectic.
You know what I mean? So you get that sort of feel good.
A little dopamine
chemical, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
we haven't smoked for a month. Look how much we saved.
Yeah.
And then it starts rolling on.
Yeah. Especially alcohol and cigarettes, man. Expensive.
Yeah. And then gambling.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then probably about 8 months later, they came to England. And then.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they came over to visit, showed them around England. They ended up flying home. And then they kept it going. So, obviously the goal that they set out for, they've already achieved. So they could have easily just went, oh, fuck it, let's go back. But they kept going.
Yeah.
And then kept saving and then kept making their lifestyle better. Then they were out walking together and then doing this and doing that. And like I said before, we rented my whole life.
Yeah.
And then about 3 or 4 years ago, they purchased their first house.
How good, man.
Yeah.
That's unreal, eh?
Yeah.
That's unreal.
And now they're renovating it.
Yeah.
They've added a pool. They go camping.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times a week.
It's a complete lifestyle shift, eh?
Yeah, they have 2 new cars. Yeah. And it's crazy to see how 2 people just spent so long doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And then just flipped it on its head because they had sort of a purpose, or, you know what I mean? Like a reason to flip it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%.
now they're just absolutely flying.
Yeah. Loving life.
They got equity to use. They're learning about the stuff that you're so good at.
How
they're
good. learning
about it.
Yeah.
They're in a really good place.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
How good, man. That's amazing.
So
and
really
you must
good.
be so happy for them as well.
Yeah, it's great. I
obviously.
love telling that story. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm really proud of both of them. So
it's crazy, man. Like when there's things to commit to and actually have a shift, and things like that app, man, which can hold them accountable and like show them the benefits of it. And I mean, man, exactly like we're saying, the cigarettes, alcohol, and then the gambling on top. There must have been a crazy amount that they were saving when that was like their whole lives before. Right?
And like no one's perfect. They still face their challenges, but nowhere near. Like they're in such a good place, so much happier.
Yeah.
Where they are now.
Nah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
it's really good.
And so do you reckon, like obviously growing up, witnessing that obviously made you not want to go down that path, and instead did you like that obviously made you push harder towards sport as well and push harder towards the
sport
footy
was
career?
sort of my escape. You know what I mean? Like even like before I retired, when I was training or playing, you forgot about everything.
Yeah.
All your problems just went away for 80 minutes, whether you were training or playing.
Yeah.
It's such a good escape, and it was my life goal to play professionally. And it was just my escape. And as a junior, with everything like that, playing at Maracaibo with my friends, training twice a week, it was just that escape really that you got to get away from everything and have fun.
Yeah. So you're almost like addicted to it from that end because it was such it would have been like the dopamine
it sort of
you
is
would
an
have been getting
addiction,
from that as
hey?
well.
Like it's just, and then especially that sport, it's such a contact sport and fast paced, and if you're competitive, it's sort of the perfect thing. You could be 130 kilos or 80 kilos and you get to play the same game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah, and then everyone gets to utilize their strength, whether you're fast, strong, tall, short.
Yeah.
Even the fat fellas can have a go. So. Not very good, but they can have a go.
I think they need to jump on the app.
Yeah. Look at how much money they save by not eating as much.
Mate, I love that. That's actually a great idea. So, man, you were saying as well that you were a bit of a late debutant as well for the NRL. So, man, talk me through, obviously, you've gone towards the end of you obviously got your high school certificate, whatever that is at the end of that. You've picked that up, man. You're sort of finishing there, but you obviously didn't turn pro at 18
or straight out of school.
Yeah. So, like, what was the transition, man? Because there's like 5 years there. Like, what was the...
So I didn't go to a rugby league school, so I didn't get the benefit of a Kebra Park or a Palm Beach. And I believed in myself, but I never had a manager or picked up in a development team.
Yep.
So I just loved playing with my mates.
Yep.
And I also was someone that didn't really go outside my comfort zone.
Yep.
I played at Maracaibo since I was 6, and that was my little safety bubble. So I didn't want to leave there.
Yeah, right.
At Maracaibo, all we ever played was Div 2 or Div 3. So we weren't even in good divisions.
Yeah.
There was still Div 1 and then A grade.
So you weren't playing at that sort of hyper competitive level where other people would have been
other people would have been, at Kebra, they do gym, fitness, everything as year 8 students.
Yeah. Hectic.
So I was benching fucking 50 kilos when I was 16, 17. So I wasn't strong.
And there's kids at those schools.
Yeah, they do 100.
So I went to Westfield Sports.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, that's
so
a sporting school as well.
Yeah, so I trained with Isaac Luke, man. And like he and I would we try and that was my one strong thing was bench.
Yeah.
And he'd be racking up, man. He'd be doing that like 16, 17, doing like 120 kgs on that, 300 kilo squats.
I was still fucking shit at bench when I was a professional athlete. So I don't know. I don't think I was ever meant to be good at that. Yeah, so I was at that school and then just loved playing with my mates. And it wasn't until I was probably about 18, 19. So I was working as a baggage handler at Brisbane Airport. And I had this agent approach me. And he wasn't like a well-known agent. He just sort of just started out. And he was interested. He just said, I really see something in you. Would you like if I represented you? And he took me from Maracaibat to South Acacia Ridge. And it was sort of like the A-grade 18-year-olds.
Okay.
And because I was in my little safety bubble, I made Big Red, my best mate, come with me.
Yeah.
And he he was big because he was good. He wasn't the best at footy, but he was big, so he did well.
Yeah.
And I forced him to come with me.
Yeah.
So me and him both went there. We ended up winning the 18 A-grade Grand Final. Beautiful. I was fullback. Ended up going back to Maracaibat, I think, for a year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I forget the reason why, but went there for a year. And then South Logan, the Queensland Cup side, brought me over.
Yeah, right.
Played Colts there, under 20s there. Then I ended up progressing into the Queensland Cup there. And then East Tigers called, another Queensland Cup team. They're a big team. Brought me over from there. Played really well my first year. Cody Walker was in the team.
Okay.
A couple other Melbourne Storm boys, people that went on to play NRL and ended up winning best back in the Queensland Cup.
Hectic, man.
Yeah, so the progression from, Div 2 Maracaibat to Queensland Cup and A-grade was like sort of 3 years.
Yeah.
Played really well my first year. The Melbourne Storm brought me down.
No way.
For my first preseason.
Yeah. And that was when they were like killing it, right?
Yeah, so
like
they were
hectic.
So the end of 2012, November 2012, went down there for preseason.
Yeah.
And it was everyone. There was Billy Slater, there was Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, and I was thinking, what the fuck's going on? Like, how the fuck did I get here?
What are you, 21, 22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard about it. They do this camp every year. It's called the I Don't Quit camp.
Okay.
And it was the hardest 3 days of my life.
Yeah.
And they take you out to the bush in Victoria, spend 3 days there. You sleep an hour and a half over the 3 days. You do all these.
It's like SAS training or something.
It is. You do all these tests. They aren't physical, but they just keep you going. You have to keep thinking.
Try and mentally break you.
Yeah. And that's what it is. They mentally break you.
Yeah.
And if you break, the Storm know you're not suited for this place.
Yeah.
And I ended up going there. And after I had to do the camp,
Yeah.
but I wasn't signed to them. So I was sort of just fucking doing the camp for the sake of fucking doing the camp. And then after the camp, they told me, our development, we don't have any space left. Would love to have you, but we can't fit you into the system.
Yeah.
So I flew back to East Tigers after getting tortured for 3 days.
Yeah.
Played 2 games, and then the Bulldogs called.
Yeah.
And then flew down there to meet them. And I remember I was working in a warehouse at this time, and I had to go down on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And, I was always calling sick on Monday. I was 21. I'd be at the Boundary or the Fox or something in Brisbane and West End, calling sick on Monday. Anyway, I got to Thursday and I said, mate, I got to go to Sydney on Friday. I'm meeting with the Bulldogs. And I remember it. They said to me, like, you got to make a choice. Like, if you want to go down, that's fine. But if you go, you're not coming back here.
Yeah, right.
So they sort of like gave me an ultimatum. If you go to Sydney, you're fired.
Yeah.
What's better? So anyway, I flew to Sydney, met with the Bulldogs and thought, well, fuck you. Like, signed 3 years with the Bulldogs.
No way.
Moved to Sydney the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hectic.
Yeah. So
they scouted you? Like they'd scouted you?
So they scouted me from the East Tigers, Brisbane Tigers they're called now.
Yeah.
And then signed 3 years with them. And then that kickstarted my 10-year
NRL.
playing career.
Yeah, your playing career. Yeah. That's unreal, man. That's unreal. What was the feeling of the first professional contract like that?
It was crazy. Like, I've always, had to work to get money.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, like, now I'm getting paid to play rugby league. Like, and I remember I was sitting down in the Bulldogs changing room and like Ben Barber and Frank Pritchard and Michael Ennis and Tony Williams and Josh Morris.
Yeah.
Sam Parrott. And I was looking around going like, fuck, like, how the fuck did I get here? I had my own locker with my name on it. And like, the Bulldogs are a massive club and I had all the Bulldogs kit and next minute boots were free and training kit was free. And, I don't know what the meal called, but like Muscle Chef or something would send you meals for free. And
that's crazy.
And then like, I didn't have social media. So I downloaded Instagram. Next minute, like Josh Morris shouts you out and this. And then next minute, you've got 3,000-4,000 followers out of
nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it was such a surreal experience.
Yeah, that's unreal, man. That's unreal. What was that team like for the first year as well? Like, obviously some big names there,
Yeah,
and again,
it was so good.
big
So
time for
James
them.
Graham was in it,
Okay.
and he was such a leader. He was off his head in a good way. Like,
Really?
if he went out on a Saturday or a Sunday, he was in at training on a Monday. Treadmill, sauna, weights, just working off the weekend. He was such a leader. I think we made the grand final that year, and we just had leaders in the team.
Yeah.
Outside backs, Sam Perrott, Josh Morris. In the forwards, James Graham, Michael Ennis, Josh Jackson, Dale Finucane. The team was just full of senior, players that kept all the young fellas in check. And then, so you mix, the senior leadership with enthusiastic young blokes that buy in.
Yeah.
It's a great recipe, and it showed that year.
Yeah. So how important do you think that is as well? Because like obviously there's clubs, that focus on young talent and bringing a lot of that through and have that rather than have the old heads in there. And then some of them have a lot of the old heads and not as much young talent. How much do you think that balance is?
I think you need.
It's super important.
It's super important. You need the young fellas are so enthusiastic, but every now and again they need to be reeled in.
Yeah.
Because they see the lights, the cameras, the fans, all the great stuff that comes with being a professional athlete. But the senior players, they've lived it, they've dealt with it. They've seen the bad side of it, so they can sort of keep everyone together, keep the energy heading in the right direction
instead of a spiral the wrong way. It's like the positive momentum rather than a spiral.
And it's good to hear from the players that have felt what you're feeling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Instead of someone that hasn't felt what you're feeling, telling you what to do and how to act, and this is wrong, that's right. It's good if someone that's lived it has probably made some mistakes, but now they understand the importance of keeping your head screwed on. And
Man, I think that's so important as well, right? Like, especially for, man, in anything. It's funny because I think when you're young, it's hard to take advice. Sometimes it can be quite hard to take advice from that because you're like, oh, mate, you know what I mean? Like when you're young, you're young and you're like, oh, man, like whatever, I'm just fucking doing my thing. I'm killing it, whatever. It's funny, man, because like whether this is business or as an entrepreneur or whether this is an athlete as well, man, I think having that understanding of how important it is to actually listen to that people, especially like 10, let's say 5-10 years in front of you, they've been through it, they've walked through it. To take that advice from them as well is such an important step to to being able to succeed and grow quickly as well, without imploding.
And I think like feedback too, constructive criticism, and the negative feedback sometimes you need to hear. Everyone doesn't like to hear what they're doing wrong, but it's important to take that on and try and figure out how to do it the right way.
Yeah. How did you go with that when you were younger?
I had Desi Hasler as my first head coach, so there's no grey area. It's black and white. It's
there's no fugazi, there's no misinterpretation. He tells you straight what it is.
If he feels a certain way that how you've played or how you're acting, he will call you into his office, and it is terrifying. But now I'm an employee of his, so it's a little less terrifying. But as a player, I handled it pretty well. Like obviously being a late bloomer, I think the later you debut, the more grateful. And I'm not saying that the young boys aren't grateful, but you've sort of worked, you know what I mean? Like I know boys that haven't haven't worked a day in their life because they go from being great athletes in school to scouted to becoming professionals. And they deserve to be. Like they've obviously got the talent and the skill level to be that, but they sort of haven't lived that work life where they've had to work, and now they get this great opportunity to be professional athletes.
Yeah. Man, I can relate to that so well because it's the humbling moments, right? Of eating shit for a few years before you make it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, man, because I say this all the time, but like, I think I'm extremely grateful for the success I've had after I turned 30. Yeah. Because I feel like if I'd had it in my early 20s, mid 20s, even late 20s.
You may have destroyed it.
100%, man. Whereas, I look at a lot of people who make significant money in their 20s and sometimes they haven't had enough life experience. It's kind of like you're saying there. If they're coming straight out of school, boys, straight into professional contracts, they haven't like tasted.
And they get paid very well for.
Yeah, straight away,
young
right?
Men,
yeah. And so, but they haven't eaten shit. They haven't gone through it and kind of been humbled during those pieces. So,
but there's positive stories as well. So, a young kid in our team, Keanu Kinney.
Okay.
He's our starting fullback. He just turned 21, came from PBC straight in full time. He's one of those rare stories where his humbleness and his accountability and his willingness for feedback is just unbelievable.
Interesting.
And it's probably a great testament to his family. His parents have probably raised him really well. He's an absolute legend that and he's our starting fullback. So
wow,
he's come from school straight into this environment.
Yeah.
Played fullback for the Kiwis.
Oh, really?
In the off season when he was 20.
20.
He was 20 when he
Holy
played for
shit.
the Kiwis. Started fullback for them.
Yeah.
But he's someone that he's just generally an absolute legend, and
Yeah.
we've got a lot of them at the Titans. So there's a lot of legends that are really humble people that that work really hard in the team.
So he's a bit of an anomaly, but you see,
definitely. I've seen
you
plenty
both ways,
come straight in with their Australian schoolboy backpacks on, that seen it all, done it all. They don't need to be told what to do, and then
they're 18.
8 months later, you never see them again. Because it's a wake up call when you go from killing it against your own age group to a 30-year-old absolutely smashing you at training, and they don't care.
Yeah, if anything, they're protecting their contracts as well, right? So they don't care.
They see this young, arrogant superstar, and they think there's beautiful. let's test him out,
and they break him. Right?
And the ones that don't break, you see, they end up superstars.
Yeah,
but the ones that do break, they end up just leaving because they're not up to it.
They can't handle it.
Yeah.
Interesting, eh? Interesting. Man, talk to me about your first game, the first professional game that you played for the Doggies.
Yeah, it was against the Brisbane Broncos.
At
ANZ.
Oh,
yeah,
I was going to say it's Suncorp. Holy shit, what a story.
It was at ANZ. And I remember I was marking Daniel Vito.
Yeah.
And he's a professional WWE wrestler now. So,
no way.
Yeah. And he's massive. Yeah. And
you were marking him.
Yeah.
Bloody
so
hell.
I was marking him, and I remember, like, man, he's massive.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up losing, but it was such a surreal experience.
Yeah.
I was looking down at my NRL symbol, and like the Bulldog symbol, and like looking around. I think, like, I get to play against, and the Broncos team back then, they were elite.
Yeah.
And got to play. Corey Parker was playing. Sam Thaiday was playing.
Yeah, right.
Andrew McCulloch. So it was such. I know, I was just that fella that was just smiling. You know what I mean? Like, I was out there just smiling, just
getting
thinking,
smashed by a monster.
Yeah, what's going on here? I remember he scored a try, I think, Daniel Vito, and he ran straight at me. And I thought, fuck, I'm not going to be able to tackle him. So I just like wrapped the ball up. He just flew me straight over the goal line, and I almost held him up, and he ended up scoring.
Right.
Do your best.
Had a crack.
That's
good. That's good. So, mate, you had that first season. You killed it. Like, you did. Obviously, you did really, really well. You played 27 games in that year. Played the grand final and stuff as well. Was it the following year, or you had 2 years of Doggies and then you went to England?
I signed full time for 3 years with the Bulldogs. So I was a professional there for 3 years.
Yep.
The first year I played reserve grade.
Yep.
Second year I debuted.
Okay.
Played the whole year.
Okay.
And then I sort of got hit this weird spot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a real, probably like a real adversity tester. So on the third year, we're just coming off the grand final.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, wow, like we played really well. And then they started to buy like a couple outside backs, and I was thinking, what's going on here? And then we had a great team.
Yeah.
And then the third year I was there, I went from playing 27 games to I think 15.
Yeah, right.
And I was in and out of the team. He was chopping, changing me. I wasn't really sure where I'd fit in the team. And it was sort of like a shock to the system. We just played the grand final. Like, why are you changing? Like, how come I went from, starting to not really good enough to not fitting in? And anyway, the year went past and had no offers anywhere. So the Bulldogs weren't going to re-sign me.
Wow.
Didn't have anything. And I hit this roadblock, and just a shock to the system, like coming off such a high the year before to this wake up call that I had no idea, didn't see coming at all. And I ended up having to sign to England.
Okay.
Yeah. To play and I got paid fairly well over in England, but.
So you stopped it, like the NRL, you didn't get any offers?
I didn't get any offers, from the NRL.
Right. So, and the contract wrapped up?
Yeah, and I could have signed, development contracts or something like that, or waste my time. But the England offer was very good money.
Okay.
And I thought to myself at the time, this will be the best opportunity for me to go to work my way back.
Yeah.
I was too young just to go over there. And for myself, I was too young to go over there and just live there for 12 years.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to play in the NRL and the best comp in the world. So had the idea that I'd go there for 2 years. Ended up going there, and if you've lived in England, it's sunny for 8 weeks and then it rains for 11 months.
Yeah.
So, growing up in Brisbane, Gold Coast is down the road, Sunny Coast is up the road.
That's going to be the worst test before you go to England.
Yeah, I was taking vitamin D tablets during pre-season because there wasn't enough sunlight.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were doing fitness with ice and snow on the ground, and it was such a...
Because you played just outside Manchester, right?
Yeah, so I lived in Manchester.
Yep.
The team I played for was in between Liverpool and Manchester, so I would commute there.
Yep, sweet.
great people that were a part of the club.
Yeah.
Really, really great people. But I just missed home so much. I played really well my first year. Came second in the whole comp for tries. So I scored 27 tries my first year. Team made the finals. We were going really well. And then at the end of that year, I had an offer from the Cronulla Sharks to come home.
Yeah.
But in my contract, I obviously had a 2-year deal. And so the English club didn't allow me to leave.
Yeah, right.
So I had to stay there for another year. And they shuffled some teams around, some players around. And we went from really competitive the first year to really poor the second year. And it wasn't because of talent. It was just because the people they moved on was our captain that played for England, a couple other forwards. And the boys that replaced them were just, they were young. They were inexperienced. And we struggled really, a lot the second year. And
so you lost those old heads that like you had in the Doggies in that year that
and
was
we
so
struggled
crucial.
the next year, and I was real homesick, and I didn't really enjoy living there. And I thought to myself, I just need to work my hardest, and I'll come back to somewhere.
Yeah.
Didn't care how much. I was on really good money in England. Yeah. I don't care if I signed minimum wage in Australia. I'm going to come back and work.
Yeah.
And then got an offer from the West Tigers.
Okay.
Wasn't good money, a lot less than what I was on in England.
Yeah.
I said, I don't care about the money.
Yeah.
I want to come back, earn my spot. Give me a 1-year deal. That's all I need. I'll come prove to you that I deserve more.
Yeah.
Anyway, I played that year in England, flew home, started at the West Tigers, and they had like 3 really good outside backs. So they had their starting team. They said, we'll give you a shot. You got a 1-year deal. The opportunity is yours. Do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Had a really good preseason. Really tried hard. And then round 1 came, and the winger, who's an absolute legend of a bloke, I'm really good friends with him to this day. He, at this point in time, he's their club leading try scorer ever.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was their starting winger. And I worked my ass off, and I took his spot for round 1.
No way.
Yeah, so I took the jersey off him. And I remember round 1 came, we were versing the Roosters, and Daniel Tupou was marking him. And, the Tigers were struggling for the previous couple of years, and we ended up winning the game, and I scored the match winner after taking his jersey round 1. So we shifted it. I remember it visibly. Our halfback threw it. It hit our second rower's forehead and then ricocheted across the field, and it bounced off the ground and straight into my hands. Yeah. And Tubes was coming across the field, and I sort of did this hesitation, goose step, and took off.
Yeah.
And he pushed me, and as I was going over the sideline, I scored with like 30 or a minute left.
Yeah.
And then it tied the game, and then our 5'8" Tui kicked the goal to win it.
Yeah.
And I remember after it, came from England, had the no opportunity, and then ended up the NRL posted the game winner. The photographer was in the corner that
you've got it down.
Yeah, that I got it down with. And it was just such a good feeling to play well after working my ass off. And then they gave me a 2-year extension after that.
After like one game?
No, like a couple months later. Yeah, so a couple months later. So I would have played. I kept playing. So the next week, our fullback got injured, so I went fullback.
Yep.
The winger that I took's jersey came back into the side.
Yep.
And then he stayed there. I was fullback. So he wasn't out for long. He ended up taking that wing spot back. I went to fullback.
Yep.
And then maybe about 6-7 games later, I got a 2-year extension. Money was topped up.
Yep.
2-year extension. That whole hard work was sorted. And then I was back in the NRL.
Awesome, man. They're looking after you.
Yeah.
Looking after you.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah.
So from the Tigers from there, even if we rip through the career before we jump into some other stuff around it as well, had 2 more seasons at the Tigers.
Yeah. So I spent 3 years at the Tigers. Yep. Ended up coming to the Gold Coast purely on the fact that the fullback at the time had an injury.
Yep.
So he hurt his spine, called the Gold Coast. I hadn't been home for 7 years since I moved. So to get the opportunity to come back, I grabbed with both hands. I left the Tigers, drove to the Goldie. It was 2020, so COVID hit. So I had to move in with my mum.
Yep.
Lived on a single bed that my niece slept on
when
she stayed at my parents' house. And then I'd commute from Brizzy to the Gold Coast. Ended up purchasing a townhouse in Pimpama.
Yeah, beautiful.
Then moved in there, and then spent 3 years at the Gold Coast before retiring.
Yeah, sick. How good, man.
Yeah.
How good. Did you love playing at the Titans?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Such a great group of people. The boys are fantastic, the playing group.
Yeah.
It was even better because all my school friends and that could just drive to the game.
Yeah.
Family could drive to the game because I spent 7 years with not having any family or friends there.
Yeah.
Didn't know anyone in Sydney other than the playing group, the team that I was playing with.
Yeah.
So being back here at home, great club. Family could come, friends could come.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Who do you reckon was the toughest bloke you ever played against?
So I versed Manu Vadavai.
Okay.
He was at the Warriors, and his nickname's the Beast.
Really?
Yeah. And he's terrifying, even just to look at. And usually with big blokes, if they're not aggressive, it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, if they're big but they're not aggressive, well, who cares? But he was aggressive as.
Yeah. Psycho.
If you ran at him, I had to actually use my agility to get away from him.
Just avoid getting hit.
Yeah. He had a beard. I think he might have had a gold tooth.
And he just wanted to kill you.
6 foot something, massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fast, strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you hated playing against him?
Yeah.
Were they good battles, but they would have made you play like hard,
yeah, well,
right?
I would have to
you had to be on your
compete a
toes.
bit. And like the good thing was, I think he was getting honours in his career, so I only would have had to mark him for 2 or 3 years, and then he was gone. But he was probably the hardest person I had to mark.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. What about the hardest game you ever played? Do you ever remember there's just one hectic game?
I used to always hate versing Canberra.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so Canberra for some reason would always have to play them in winter.
Yeah,
and it would be 1 degree, 0, -1, and they've got a really aggressive and technical forward pack.
Okay.
So they hit hard, they wrestle well, they gang tackle you.
Yeah.
So I used to always hate playing against them. Obviously, as a winger, you have to take the yardage carriers out of your goal line, and just
you'd get smashed.
Playing their forward pack was just a punish every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, man. Because I grew up like I grew up an hour and a half from Canberra, and on the same height, so it's like pretty much on the same level. And we were always like pretty much 1 degree difference to whatever they were down the Southern Highlands compared to Canberra.
Yeah, it's torture.
Oh, mate, it's the worst.
And the sheds are pretty old. They're concrete, wooden lockers, and then
yours were anyway. They're really
and they probably turn the heater off too.
100%, man, for sure.
And then
surely
you
Jedi
run
mind
out
tricks
and
this shit.
your big toes frozen. You're thinking, let's just get this over and done with.
It was forfeit.
Like we come down from the Gold Coast, winter's 22 degrees, and then we're down there shivering. It's freezing.
Yeah,
you're doing kick catch when the fans are abusing you. They got beanies and scarves and gloves on. You're there shivering. They're abusing the hell out of you, and you just think, let's get this game over and done with.
Did it make you go hard? But did it make you want to beat them?
Yeah. I sort of loved playing away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because when you'd run out, you'd get booed.
Oh, right.
And I loved getting booed. And
fire up.
You think, let's rip into these blokes. Because like the fans there, Suncorp away was great against the Broncos.
Yeah.
30, 40,000. You'd run out, just big low base of boos would ring out. Yeah. And then you just think it's like, I love those.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. It's on. Yeah.
How is that compared to obviously when you run out and they're cheering for you at the Titans, right?
Yeah.
And they're going crazy for you.
Yeah, you get like, it sort of both gives you rushes. You get that, let's smash these blokes. And then you run out to the home fans and you think like, how good's this? Like, look how many people came to watch us. And it's such a surreal feeling, like running out and like there's, 15, 20, 30,000 people there to watch you guys play football. And you think, man, like this is such a great career job.
That's mad.
That you get to experience.
So one's like that elation. Both are adrenaline, but one's elation and then one's like
negative, positive, but they both give you the same feeling.
Yeah, the same lift, That's cool, man. Yeah. That's cool. That must have been sick, man.
Yeah, it was. It's like I'm sure we'll touch on it after, but like it's such a, and the sad thing is like you will never feel it again. You know what I mean? Like I'll never feel those feelings ever again, no matter how hard. Like I'm never ever going to run out into a packed stadium to play a professional game ever again.
What do you do to try and replace those rushes now? Because obviously that's something you'd have to deal with right after.
So even when I played, I hated fitness.
Okay.
I would never be at the back, but I'd never be at the front.
Yeah, right.
Fitness, I hated it. Hated gym, hated fitness for some reason. I just loved competing. So, but now it's weird. Like I used to hate fitness, like I said, but my wife's really into running.
Yep.
And when I retired, I didn't have that thing to chase or anything that challenged me. As a professional athlete, every day you wake up and you're competing, you're chasing, you're competing against a reserve grade player, you've lost, so now you're trying to win, you're trying to up your fitness test, you're trying to get stronger in the gym, you're trying to make the finals. You're always chasing something, you're competing. And when you retire, that gone. You don't have anything. So what now I try to do is run.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's ADHD or whatnot, but I'm a very spontaneous runner. And saying that, like, if someone goes to me, hey, Corey, like for example, I only ever ran 15Ks. That was my furthest run. And to me, that was ages.
Yeah.
And then my wife goes on. She's run a marathon, by the way. So she's
run a marathon.
Yeah,
No
so she's
way.
under 4 hours too. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
how good.
And then on the 1st of January 2025, she goes to me, "Let's run 25 Ks for 2025." And me being the ADHD competitive person said, "Fuck oath, let's go." I haven't prepped for this whatsoever. Anyway, we went to Broadbeach and then
what, like that day? Like, let's go now.
She gave me, a week's notice, but
a week to prep for 25 Ks.
Woke up and then we just ran, and that's something that now I find that I can compete with.
Yeah,
I'm not competing against anyone, but I'm competing against myself.
Yeah,
and it's that thought process of you can't do this. Like, you're going to quit. And then I talk to myself, you're not going to quit. You need to finish this. Like, doesn't matter if you're not prepared. You can't prepare for everything in life. Doesn't matter if you're not prepared. I'm going to do this. And it might not be healthy, like mentally. I don't know if it is healthy or not, but, I finished the 25 Ks and then
your body's wrecked after, but you did it, right? You finished.
I was in and out of sleep for about 8 hours after I finished that. And then, but didn't do
She was just cruising?
Yeah.
Cruising?
And then it's something that challenges me. And like, I've struggled to find that's something to chase.
Yeah.
And in 2023, that's where I didn't have anything to chase, didn't have a career to chase, really struggled with what I was passionate about, because from 6 years old to 33 years old, I got to live my life goal. From 6, my life goal, and it's crazy to have a life goal that finishes when you're 33, because you have 60 years left of your
100%.
life. So my life goal finished when I was 33, snap of the finger, you're done, perks are gone, pay's gone.
Adrenaline hit every week's gone.
The highs are gone. The lows that you turn into highs are gone. And that was just like such a, not dark, because like I felt like, I was still all right, but such a, hard time in my life where didn't have any goals, didn't know what else I was good at. You spent 10 years being told you're a football player, worked my ass off since I was 6 or since I was, 17 to be where I was. And then in a snap of a finger, it was gone. No, you get your perks and that, but I played purely for the adrenaline, to compete, to earn my teammates' respect, to, make my family proud. And then at 33, it was gone. So had nothing to.
Did you prepare at all for the transition?
I was probably, so a lot of boys, I prepared well.
Okay.
So I did like, some youth work courses, some other stuff. Kept in contact with a lot of influential people that helped out.
Yeah.
And I got to retire on my own term, which some boys don't get to, whether it's injuries where, there's 24, 25-year-olds that do their ACLs or
it's done,
shoulders, and they're done.
Yeah.
So I feel like I ticked off everything that I ever wanted to achieve. And it was still a shock to the system. So when I retired, reached out to Keebra Park, who's, a top 5 rugby league school in the country. Their head of rugby league, Peter Norman, brought me in as a coaching staff. So I was there 3 days a week, and then I did youth work every other day. So, but they were both part-time casual roles.
Yeah.
Nothing that, because I wasn't a qualified teacher, there was nothing that I could progress into at Keebra. Youth work, that was casual. You can't progress really high into that. So I was sort of just in limbo for 12 months, just paycheck here, work here, pick up shifts there. And it was such a dark time, from going from something structured, 10 years of structure, gym here, food here, pay here, holidays here, game here. Everything was done for you.
Yeah. Structure.
You knew where you were going to be. You knew what the perks of playing. You want to go overseas? Let's go. You want to go out to dinner? Let's go. To paycheck, how am I going to pay my share of the mortgage? How am I going to, because all the bills I had when I was playing, I still had them when I retired.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like they go away when you retire. I wish they did. You know what I mean? Like, my pay went with a finger. The bills just stayed there, smiling at me. I couldn't call Westpac and say, "Hey, I just retired. Can you just
pause my loan for 10 years?
Can you pause this until I get my life sorted?"
Sort my shit out.
So that was one of the hardest things, was like just feeling so like I went from this, not influential, but just this person that, you know what I mean? You're a professional athlete.
100%.
You just play, you go out to dinner, people say hello, you're this, to like a casual worker that had no identity.
And so that 12 months sounds like it was probably the darkest 12 months of your life.
Yeah, it was like a roller coaster. I'd go through, a week or two of acceptance. Felt like I was in a good place, really enjoyed work. And then just like a frustration where like, I was just sick of it just felt like I was floating above water, you know what I mean? 1 month you'd be under with your lips breathing for air.
Yeah.
Next minute you'd be up. Next minute you'd be completely under. You had to pause a bill. You had to do this. And then I was earning good money at Keyba and youth work, but nowhere near my football salary.
Yeah, of course.
Your football salary, you just pay wave, tap, 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 save. And then 2 casual shifts, you just sort of just banking, working your hardest.
So how'd you pull yourself out of that?
Well, first of all, I spent 2023 probably drinking and partying a lot. And
I saw you a couple of times through there.
Yeah.
You're a little bit wild.
Oh, were you good, were you?
I was there with you, but I fucking...
And then just, when I was playing football and you'd go on a night out, you always had that subconscious, can't go too far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because football's there. Have to keep it reeled in. And then when that disappeared, what do you have to lose, really? Yeah. And I mean that in a career-wise. Obviously, Lily was there. So I don't mean her in the what do you have to lose category.
You mean there's not the risk of your career?
Yeah. As a career, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
So I didn't have anything sort of holding me back. And it was just, you'd have one good night, then you'd have 3 bad nights, and then you'd have a half good night that turned into a bad night. And it was just, the slope was getting steeper and steeper and steeper. And Lily, to her credit, she's the greatest person I've ever met. And she reeled me in. She would always understand how I was feeling and be there without judging. That makes sense. She would always understand and then reel it in. And then just sort of got to this point where I was like, fuck, I got to fucking pull my head in, cut it out. And then just said from now on, I'm not going to touch, alcohol, not going to go out. When I do go out to these social events, Lily's friends' birthdays, Lil's birthday, I'm not drinking, I'm not touching anything. So, I haven't touched alcohol for 18 months now. Don't have any plan to touch it anytime soon. Really enjoying where I'm at. I have a good, career that I've stepped into now, thanks to the Titans. Really, proud of where I'm heading. In a really good space now. We've sorted out, everything, sorted finances. We have a great, system now where things get split into savings, investments, holiday, everything like that's all set up. So we're really in a good headspace.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. How massive do you think it is getting off the piss?
Oh, it's massive. It's helped me in every aspect.
Yeah.
From you get your weekends back to you can go out for runs, you can and just enjoy life. And I'm not saying alcohol's bad for you. For me personally, it's helped me in every aspect.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I go out and, party with my mates who just get blind. And Lil still drinks. I've never once told her that she's not allowed to drink because I've chosen not to drink.
Yeah.
She still parties. I just drive.
Yeah.
and it works out well. You've met her friends. They love to party too. So I just drive and, the decisions I've made, I don't put on anyone else to follow.
Yeah.
It was bad for me. Didn't mix well with, my brain and how I function. So I decided to just cold turkey it, clean it out. And I still enjoy it. Go to, Australia Day parties, play beer pong, do everything. I just put, non-alcoholic.
Yeah. I've seen you. You always get the non-alcoholic beers. Yeah.
Non-alcoholic drinks in it.
Yeah.
We stay as late as we need to, and then I just drive home.
Yeah.
Wake up 7 a.m. Sunday morning, fresh as a daisy.
Go for a run.
Go to the beach, go for a run, go to the, cafe. So
feeling good.
Yeah, feeling really good.
How about the cognitive function? Because I think one of the biggest things I've even witnessed with myself, I've had little decent stints off it as well. And I had a pretty hectic year on it last year, and I realized this year I needed to come in and taper it back in a big way as well. I mean, the cognitive function difference that I felt of getting off it compared to drinking, even if I didn't drink, it wasn't like a regular drinker. I would go out and I'd have a
just
big
party
night.
drink.
Yeah, or even you'd go out and have dinner and all of a sudden you have your 5 or 6 margaritas deep or something, which is 10 to 12 bloody
I wasn't
tequila
an
shots.
alcoholic, but when it was party time, it was party time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't drink Monday to Friday because there's no need to. But if there was an event, then we're going.
You'd send it. Yeah. Yeah. And so that difference from a cognitive perspective as well. Like even now, like obviously you're 18 months in of nothing.
I'm just so much clearer. Like when I used to drink, you wouldn't feel good till Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like you'd spend Monday and Tuesday in absolute agony. You'd miss emails. You wouldn't eat properly. You wouldn't train. And then now it's just, I'm progressing well with work. I'm on top of things. I'm learning new things. I'm willing to, exercise and go to the gym and have those like conversations and just be more like connected with people.
Yeah.
And I was saying like I said before, if you do drink, I'm sure you are connected with people, but for myself personally, that's just how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good, man. That's good. I love it, mate. I love it. Mate, jumping back to some of the things, like what I want to kind of dive into now as well. I love the kind of, we've gone through the career and then obviously the transitionary piece after, which is super important. And I think, any athletes potentially listening to this is going through the career, I think it's something to be super wary of because I've seen a lot, because I think I'm only maybe a year older than you. And I've seen so many, athletes and boys that I grew up and played with, and they'd come off and that year that they go through, because they don't prepare for it. They go through that black, sort of that real dark spiral
like,
year.
I prepared pretty well and was still dark. So I don't, like the boys that don't prepare, it must just hit them like a brick wall. So it's very important to prepare, whether education or, properties or little businesses. So there's the RLPA that help a lot. And a lot of the boys, they may not advertise it, but a lot of them have, a fair few properties. They have little businesses that they have, little Airbnbs. So that, there's a fair few of them that are pretty smart with their money.
Have you seen a pretty big, have you seen a transition, or did you see a transition during your carear? Like, it spanned a decade.
Yeah, I definitely
of people bringing that in and becoming more prevalent.
I definitely see now. You see, like with podcasts, a lot of the boys have podcasts and they have little businesses. They own barbershops. They have, sodium, magnesium satchels. Ryan James is a good one. He's massive in the business. So, at hotels, how you walk in and got chocolate on your pillow.
Yeah.
So he owns a company that has that.
No way.
Yeah. I think Virgin Australia just brought his company on.
Really?
So he's really switched on with little companies. So, more recently, the boys are starting to use their own brand to venture out and get their life sorted for when they retire.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's good, man. It's good to see, because I know, it was such a long era there where you heard of just like blokes who come off a stellar like 10, 15 year career, and then within a couple of years they're broke and they're back on the tools and they're brickies and stuff, so and they're labouring.
It's very rare that, I'm very lucky that I got brought back into this NRL system full time. Or you see the old legends, Thurston, Cooper Cronk, they're on Fox League or Channel 9. So it's very rare. And then the boys that don't get brought back into an NRL system, they sort of, if they're not prepared, like you said, they end up on a job site or labouring.
Yeah.
I did, I laboured in 2023 for a couple of weeks, and it is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Especially if you hate fitness.
And I hate labouring as it is.
Yeah.
I did work experience in school and I did build it.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hated it. And builders are so important, but it's not for me. I ended up getting there to Wednesday morning. I remember I was holding up this wooden panel and I was hating life. And I didn't realize in work experience at school, you don't get paid.
Yeah, right.
So I remember Wednesday morning, I was there holding the panel up and I said, mate, when do you pay cash or when's payday? He goes, mate, you don't get paid for work experience. I went home Wednesday and then didn't come back. Job sites are not a place for me.
No good.
I moisturised my hands for 10 years. There's not a callus on them.
Soft hands.
And now you think I'm going to be on a job site.
Oh, mate, that's classic. That's classic. Well, man, I love, we run through career, we run through posts as well. What I'd love to do is kind of unpack, I guess, some big learnings, takeaways, lessons, even around the mentality and the resilience pieces that you had during the career as well. Even what would you have done? What were the key things you did to prepare and mentally prepare for big games? I mean, I guess every game is a pretty big game.
Visualization's a good thing.
Yep.
I'm massive on visualization.
Okay.
So, visualizing what you want to do, what the outcome is.
Yep.
How you're going to perform, what you're going to do in certain scenarios. So I know, say if they did a crossfield, you'd visualize how you're going to do it. You'd visualize catching it, holding it, coming down, stepping.
Yeah.
Your tackle tech, you're scoring tries. So that was a big one too, because after you do that, for 5 or 10 minutes, you've sort of already done it once you get out to the game. Yeah. Mentally prepared for yourself.
So you're doing that pre-game, night before or pre-game?
So during the week.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe if we play on a Saturday, maybe Thursday.
Okay.
Or Friday.
Yeah.
So once I get to the game, I sort of just want to. So during the week, you prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
on game day, I had the mentality is like, I've already prepared for it. There's no need to stress.
Okay.
If you're preparing on game day, then you haven't done well enough during the week. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Because you get 5 days to prepare for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And then sort of just, I remember this video that I used to watch. I love watching like motivational speakers.
Yeah, so do I, man.
Or something like that. And I forget his name. He's an American fella, and it was like, how bad do you want it? And he did this video, and it was like, when you get dragged under the water, like your willingness to breathe and like get your way up out of the water.
Survival, right?
Yeah. He's like, how bad do you want it? And I remember during the game when I was tired, even during fitness during the week, I'd always say to myself, like, how bad do you want to be in this moment? Like, you fought so hard to get here. Now that it's hard, how bad do you want to stay here? And I'd love motivational, like Ray Lewis. He's an NFL linebacker Hall of Famer. He's an absolute weapon. Like, if you haven't watched his motivational speaks before a game, he will get you to run through a wall for anything. He's the man at motivate. And so really watching motivation during the game, I was really weird. Like, most boys pump music, dance, joke, but I'd have headphones on and just have silence. So
really,
yeah, just nothing, just really calm, no music. If it was like white noise or brown noise.
Really?
Yeah. So
why do you think that was so like good for you?
Because you get the adrenaline when you run out, you know what I mean? So like before the game, I didn't want to sit there getting my heart rate at,
you didn't want to exhaust it
140, 160, 180 for no reason.
Yeah.
So I needed to just sit there and close my eyes. Brown noise, white noise, no noise at all. And then just relax, clear my thoughts, run through what I thought about during the week. Trust what I've done, talk through what I needed to be done. And it might not always work. Like, you might have the worst game in your life, but it's the consistency of doing those. So you can have, 8 good games, 1 bad game, 10 good games, 1 bad game. You're never going to be perfect. You're always going to make mistakes. You're always going to miss a tackle. You're always going to miss something. But if you continue the same routine, it'll build more, good games than bad games.
More momentum, right, as well. And you're stacking the deck to win.
Yeah.
You're right, man, as well. Like, I think one of the crucial takeaways there is like, success is very much dependent on your preparation. Right? And failure to prepare is failing.
Definitely.
You're not going to set yourself up to win with it. And I think like that preparation piece, like you're saying, like well before the fact, so you could just get there and just chill and focus on just focus on getting your head in the game rather than trying to prepare.
I remember this NFL player again. I love NFL, and it was a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and he gets to the game and all these players are, catching and stretching and stressing about the game, and he was just standing there.
Really?
He was standing there not doing a thing.
Yeah.
And they said to him, like, what are you doing? Like, you need to prepare.
Yeah.
Like, it's game day. Like, we're about to play. And he goes, I just spent Monday to Friday preparing.
Yeah, right.
He goes, if you're not ready to go now, you're not ready at all.
Yeah.
And it always stuck with me, like, how he must have prepared so well for this one moment that there's no reason to, once you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
Doing that extra catch isn't going to get you where you need to be.
For sure.
Yeah, you'll get your hand-eye coordination on, but the preparation's done before you get there.
Yeah. Ali, man, one of Ali's famous quotes, I'll probably butcher this. But it's,
you can say what you want. I don't even know what the quote is.
It's something along the lines of the fight isn't won in the ring. It's won long before that.
Yeah.
Out on the road, getting up early in the ring.
What everyone doesn't
in
see.
the gym. Yeah, 100%.
Like, I'm sure, like, with yourself, they see, your portfolio or something, but they don't see the Monday to Friday.
Yeah. And the 16 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they want what you got today.
Yeah.
They don't want to start where.
They don't want that trek, right?
They don't want to start where it is too hard starting.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
No, I love that, man. Bro, how did you deal with injuries, setbacks?
Yeah, so both my ankles are wired. They have wires running through both of them.
Hectic.
I've got a metal plate in my hand. Had about 2 or 3 knee clean outs. So I've got like severe arthritis on the outside of my right knee.
Okay.
Dislocated my right knee as well. So
why does the right knee cop so much damage?
Yeah, I don't know.
Poor bastard.
But sort of just back to that. I feel like, especially in, say, your industry, my industry, like your competitive nature, just that willingness to not give up, to not, setbacks happen, injuries happen, but it's just a part of it. You know what I mean? It gives me something to chase.
Yeah.
I love having something to chase in life, a goal to set. You obviously have daily goals, weekly goals, but I feel like you need a goal
in the distance.
Yeah. Not that you never get to, but something that is very hard to get to. So you're chasing it. You're always trying to get there. And with injuries, I'd always set little goals. So they always came at good times, my injuries. So I got injured. I was nearly at my 50th game.
Yeah.
So you have that, set that goal. I want to play 50 NRL games.
Yeah.
So you come back from rehab, you get your goal, and then you're playing really well. And then I did my other ankle surgery on my 99th game.
No way.
Yeah. So the next week was my 100th NRL game.
Yeah.
So then you have that, that other thing to
milestone.
Chase. Yeah. So I always had goals that I set, and I think that's massive to set goals with whatever industry you're in.
Yeah.
Life, business, set goals, yearly goals, then make them smaller to monthly goals, make them smaller again to weekly goals.
Yeah.
And even if you want to make daily goals.
All the little needle movers, right? All the little needle movers that'll move you towards that big goal.
Yeah. And daily goals could be simple as I'm going to make my bed every day this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat breakfast before I leave every day this week. And I'm not saying daily goals are fucking 1,000 push-ups and write this big fucking business essay. Like they're just little minute goals that they might not seem much, but they're building discipline. You know what I mean? Discipline every day to do the same thing. Yeah. Because it might be boring, but it's hard to do the same thing every day. And then that monthly goal might be, submit a business plan or do something. But your yearly goal is that like $1 million project or that sporting extension.
Yeah.
An extra 2 years. But how do I get that 2-year extension?
Then you drill it back. Yeah. You drill it back to the monthly and the weeklies and the dailies, which all formulate and momentum builds into the annual goal.
The younger I wasn't playing, it was always game. I want to get to this game. Yeah. And then when I got to 29, 30, 31, it was sort of like financial goals. Yeah. I want to buy that property. Yeah. And then, well, how do I get there? Yeah. Well, I need another year on my contract because the bank's not going to give me a loan if I don't have another year on my contract.
Yeah, of course.
And then you break it down further. Well, how am I going to get that year on my contract? Well, I got to play well. And you know what I mean? You're always dropping it down. And then to get picked in the team, I've got to train well. So like you go from a property to training well every day.
Yeah.
Just to get that goal that's over there. So like goal setting is massive, even for myself.
What about now?
So to this day, like, so we want to obviously buy another property. Yep. Want to go to Europe. So just little goals like that. Yep. Would like to have children. I'd like to progress further in my career. So just little goals, sort of just Lil has her goals. I got my goals. We have our goals. Yep. And then you're just constantly setting them. Are you tracking? And like, you might not hit all of them. You might have to change some. Yeah. You might have to add some. You might have to make one harder because it's too easy. Yeah. And it's not really challenging. Like you have to set goals that challenge you. Yeah.
And do you constantly reset goals as well?
Yeah. Well, at this point I haven't had to because the goals that I've set are sort of like in the distance still. Yeah. But the daily goals, like just my new ones I was talking about, make the bed. Yeah. Don't leave the house dirty when you leave for the day.
The 1%ers, right?
Yeah. The 1%ers that, to other people like, fuck, I don't want to make the bed today. What's the point? But it drills bad habits into you.
For sure.
Because then you don't make the bed. The next minute you leave the house dirty. The next minute, you know what I mean? Like the little things that you leave, they slowly drip in. Yeah. And then you'll leave something big. And then you'll leave another thing. All, right?
Yeah. It's like those little losses, man. The little losses will stack the same way that the wins will stack.
It's sort of like shortcuts in training. You know what I mean? If they ask you to do 10 reps, you only do 9, you might get away with it because they're not counting it. Yeah. But then the next minute you go, oh, I got away with doing 9. I might skip a set in gym. Yeah. And then if you get away with that, you start to see what else you can get away with it. And then if your teammate sees that you got away with it, he'll start doing it. Yeah. And then eventually, out of nowhere, you have 6 blokes taking shortcuts. You're losing games. You're
domino effect, right?
Yeah. And it's sort of like in business, if especially you're probably the leader in your business. If you're taking shortcuts, John Smith will see that and goes, "Oh, Sam doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, I won't care." Yeah. Next minute, you're wondering why that's not finished and this isn't finished, and all it started was because little shortcuts were taken. So
for sure. How have you found the transition into business? Because obviously you're very like high up in what you do and the amount of people that you manage as well. Because this is the thing, man. Like I'm very much getting a vibe from you of like these were all the things that I carried through as an athlete, as a professional athlete, for so long, and now like you're implementing them both into your life, but then also as a leader in business as well.
I think I have a good like my characteristics are pretty like I love dealing with people and talking to them, and I really believe in honest approaches. I hate sugarcoating or, not being honest with people and I want them to be honest with me. Like I'm not that person that goes, oh, just yell at someone. But like, if I'm not doing a good job, yell at me too. Like, I spent 10 years being yelled at by coaching staff if I didn't do well. Like, I'm not a baby. Like, tell me if I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because then I can fix it. I can try and be better. But going into the business, like, as a rugby league player, you have no idea about PowerPoints. you have no idea about like Excel spreadsheets. Like, you don't learn that on the footy field. But the Titan staff have been amazing. Like the office staff, they've been so like, I'll be on my email and I'll be thinking, what's going on here? Like, how do I create this really, this table that's so complex? And then, the staff there have been amazing. They come over and help because obviously they understand, like, you don't learn this in football.
Yep.
So I'm slowly learning everything in the business and from, finances, the sponsors paying, over $1 million a year to, charities that are involved, to the coaching staff, to the GMs, from marketing to consumer. So sort of just a deep dive. I've been thrown into the deep end, learning what, the marketing GM needs out of me, to the general manager of commercial needs. So, but they're great people. They're all really, really good people.
And you've enjoyed the transition? Like, you've enjoyed that transition?
Yeah, I've absolutely loved it.
Yeah, sweet.
Like I was saying, 23, I didn't have any direction. Now that I'm back full time, I've got so many places that I can grow to.
Yeah. I remember when I saw you at the farm warming that we had at the end of last year, at the end of 24, and man, I could see it, like the way you were just like talking about it. I could like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, you'd see that like this was like a new passion that you had as well, which is I think for a lot of people hard to find after the fact as well, but it's cool, man. Like, having that passion for something like that is obviously, it gives you purpose and allows you to keep pushing forward and maintaining that, drive to want to keep succeeding in it as well.
I love helping the boys too. So the playing group, I love helping them. Like, I manage their appearances, to making sure they're all good day to day. And obviously, coming from my background, I understand how they feel, and I understand that, when you lose, you don't want to talk to anyone. When you win, you're willing to do everything. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So if you're playing poorly and the fans are grilling you, I'll try to protect them from the outside and keep them, safe until they're feeling better or confident on playing well. Then I'll bring them back out to do appearances for sponsors and everything. But, I'm in a great place at the moment. It's something that, like I said, like when your life goal ends at 33, you need to find something else. Like, most people's life goal doesn't end until they're 70 or
they may not even hit it
or 60. Or they may not ever get to their life goal.
Yeah.
And, when people say, "Oh, I'm retired," they're usually 50, 60, 70.
Yeah.
But, when I say, "Oh, yeah, I'm a retired athlete," I was 33, and they think, "Well, what do you do now?" And, for that 12 months, I said, "I don't even know."
Yeah.
And
whereas now you're proud.
Now I'm proud to like talk about, where I'm heading, and I've just finished my professional athlete wellbeing level 4. So
hectic, man.
We had to learn about all like the mental side of an athlete, and, why certain people react to certain words. So like, say if I say something to you, you might just flip. And then you understand why they flipped. Is it their outside, noise? Has his partner left him? Is his parents into him? Is he, gambling? Is he doing this? But then another person, you might say the same word to, and he reacts really well to it.
Yeah, right.
So
interesting.
Yeah. So there's 30 grown men, that are professional athletes that are just, aggressive monsters that just smash each other every day. But then when you break it down, like, they're just normal people that are struggling on the outside, but now it's just magnified because, being paid well, you're reliable for so many things.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. Right. So it's so interesting to sort of dissect everything. And I think like it's probably the craziest industry in terms of professional athlete, because it's like such a wildly like spotlight career, like huge money, huge spotlight, huge focus. And then it can just end like that.
You could sign a 6-year deal.
Yeah.
And your money's guaranteed.
Yeah.
But if something happened, your career could end tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you might get hurt outside of football that has nothing to do with you. You might be in an accident or something, and then your footy career is done. So it is a very short-lived career. I think the average lifespan's 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, right. Really?
Yeah, the average lifespan.
Wow.
And then the average games played, like, this is average. Everyone that's ever played, I think, is like 60 or 50 something.
No way.
Yeah, so the average isn't long at all.
No.
So if you
that's 3 seasons.
If you play 2 full seasons and play finals as well, you've almost reached the average.
Wow.
So
that's crazy, eh? What do you reckon is the biggest like thing that people don't understand or don't realize, like behind the closed doors of professional athlete and NRL as well? Like, what do you think is the biggest thing that is like a misconception or isn't seen by the public, by the fans?
Like you said, like the Monday to Friday stuff.
Yeah.
What it took for them to get there, the sacrifices that parents had to make, that they had to make. People just see what the media push out, and then the paycheck, and they play poorly, but no one goes out there to play poorly on purpose.
Yeah.
They don't see the sacrifices, and it's a great lifestyle. Don't get me wrong; it's the best job in the world, but it also comes with some, hard. And I don't think it gets viewed enough. The media, all they show is the bad stuff.
Yeah.
When someone does something wrong, they post it on the paper.
Yeah.
When they do something right, they barely blink an eye.
Yeah.
So
they look at it like bad news sells, right?
Yeah, because well, that's what I mean. Yeah. If someone does something well, it doesn't get subscriptions, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah,
it doesn't get the clicks.
Yeah, when someone sums up something bad, then they post it everywhere, and then they get the clicks and the views and the traction when people commenting and
for sure, man.
Down,
that's what, man, because that's what sells, right? Because when they have it, they get more advertising that gets eyeballs on it, so they're going to be able to sell that stuff for more. So
that's what people don't really see, what goes on behind the scene, the injuries, the setbacks, the pain. Like, my last year with my knee, I'd be in bed and it would lock just randomly, and I'd have to kick it open. There'd be games where I'd play with tramadol and codeine, just so my knee would stop hurting. When I broke my hand, I just had to like a plastic guard over the top of it that I had to play with, and the fracture wasn't healed, but still have a metal plate in it.
Yeah, right.
And trying to play. So just the injuries that, like, took me 5 or 6 weeks after my ankles were wired to come back and play again. So
5, 6 weeks after they were wired.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So like people just don't see that side of it, that pain that, Tino went through with his ACL just to come back and play. So they don't see much of that side of it.
Yeah. So it's kind of that grittiness that has to be done to keep going, right?
And we got a player that, had a leak in his spinal cord.
Oh,
due to contact. Yeah. So
wow. That's my biggest jittery thing.
So
when someone talks about spinal cord, I always get weird about
severe headaches after training once, and found out he had a leakage. So people just
does that mean there's like a piercing in his actual spinal cord?
Yeah, and then it was leaking into his brain. So there's people that, they don't see that side of it.
Yeah.
The wear and tear of on your body.
Yeah. And
the average games, they get paid well, but if you go off the averages, they don't get paid well for very long.
No.
And then they're in, gone.
Yeah, then it's over.
Yeah. So
I know it's the same with the NFL, right? It's like a 3-year is a max lifespan, or the anticipated lifespan.
Yeah, and a lot of them in America, a lot of them go broke after they, the professional athletes.
Yeah.
After they finish up, because they just spend on, and obviously they're not smart with their money. Like they don't, if they were smart with their money, they wouldn't go broke. But you don't really get taught how to be smart with your money.
Yeah.
They have seminars and whatnot, but sometimes they're just box tickers.
Yeah.
We did the seminar.
Yeah, we did the seminar.
Our boxes ticked. We did the seminar. They should be smart enough with it. But unless the players are willing to, reach out and invest more in how to be smart with their money, then they just get left by themselves.
Yeah. Have you seen much of a shift with that? I know I asked before around that with people actually doing it, but like in terms of people actually bringing it in and seeing
I think
the
managers
transition?
are doing a lot better job now. The players' managers are giving them financial advisors and showing them what to spend their money on, and properties and little businesses that, they can utilize their own name as a brand.
Yeah.
So managers, I think, are helping a lot more.
Yeah.
There should be a lot more.
Yeah.
My manager, Mario Tartak, that I spent my whole career with, he was really good.
Yeah.
A really good manager. Then there's a couple others that are good as well.
It makes sense, man, because especially with their followings and the earnings they have during that time frame, you want to make sure you're doing something with it.
You can utilize your own brand massively with the following you have.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's cool, man. That's cool. Mate, if we talk about culture, because it sounds like it's been very important around the whole piece that you've had through your career as well. Like obviously when you that first pro season at Doggies, it sounds like it was hectic there. But would that have been the best culture you ever played in, or was there other clubs that were awesome?
Yeah, so the Titans had every club was good culturally.
Okay.
Like there was no idiots there.
Okay.
Or fucking egos or nothing. But I think every club was good culturally, but the Bulldogs were probably good because of this leadership we had in the team.
Yeah.
They sort of instilled toughness and, the dogs of war, they used to call them.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day. So the forward pack.
The dogs of war.
Yeah. So they were really good. So culturally there, I think, and they got a massive following.
Yeah.
Down in Sydney,
sweet.
If you ever been to Belmore, it's off its head down
Mate,
there.
I used to play at Belmore for soccer.
Yeah.
This is for a club down when I played New South Wales Premier League.
That's probably the best suburb ever.
Man, it was wild. Man. It was wild.
Yeah.
It was wild. That certain demographic that's just super passionate
They just loved
wild.
it. Yeah, they were really good. They were great fans. I remember when we won the game to get into the grand final, we had to get a police escort back into Belmore. And it wasn't because of violence. They were just partying.
Yeah.
Got off at Belmore, and you've been Belmore Sports Ground. there's like a black fence that runs around it for security reasons. They were at the fence just screaming, shaking the fence, celebrating with everyone. And there was like proper like police with like vests and that on waiting at the gate.
Yeah, to make sure you guys were all good.
Yeah,
and I mean, they were celebrating, right?
They
but
were just celebrating. There was
hectic.
no violence at all,
hectic.
but they were just going off their heads.
Oh, that's good, man. Dude, it's kind of like it's cool, man, because you almost liken that to like the European like football and stuff. You know what I mean? Where they're so crazy. You would have seen it when you lived in Manchester, like how crazy they are for it over there as well.
Even like rugby league in England. At our stadium, there's nowhere near as big as the NRL, but we would have 7,000-8,000. But they would all link, they would sing, they would jump, they would dance.
Yeah, that's sick.
So that's pretty sick. Yeah, like the crowds over in England. I went to a Champions League game at Anfield.
No, what? Liverpool's my team, man.
So I was at Liverpool, and the owners of our football team, they were pretty wealthy. So they used to house Justin Bieber when he came to the UK.
Yeah,
and he had us a corporate box for my first ever.
At Anfield. Who did they play?
It was a Champions League game. It was some French team. It wasn't like PSG or anything, but
like a Marseille or a Lyon or something.
Yeah, I forget that, but it was just pumping. Like,
bro, it's electric. I've been in that stadium,
and
man.
I remembered it was we were in a corporate box, and I was looking around, and they were all singing that.
You'll never walk alone.
Yeah, and it was crazy. Yeah, so
that's unreal.
The fans over there never went to any other soccer game other than the one game at Anfield. Which is probably the best one.
Out of everywhere that there is to go, Anfield is a special place. That man, they tried to move the stadium this is about a decade ago, probably actually around about when you were there. And man, the fans like revolted. They're like, "Nah,
it's next door to Everton, isn't it?"
Yeah. Well, Everton's in Liverpool. Yeah, so it's it's crazy, man. But they refuse. They're like, "Nah," because there's so much like nostalgia around that stadium. And I took my old boy for his 70th. We watched the final game of the season like 3 years ago. And bro, it was electric, man. It was crazy.
Gives you goosebumps when they sing, hey, and they all in that same pitch and harmonize together.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, dude. For any football game to go and watch, man, if you've watched that one, it's a pretty good one to set it up. That's cool, man. Mate, in terms of one of the other things I wanted to kind of dive into as well, kind of shaping around coaches and mentors. Yeah. Do you have anyone like super significant in your journey that was really key?
None that sort of mentored myself and say like that I knew of.
Yeah.
But I really loved watching Nick Saban.
Okay.
So he's the best college football head coach ever. So he was the head coach of Alabama.
Okay.
And his whole philosophy was creating hard people, like hard-working people to create better football players.
Yeah.
So I always listen. If you listen to a leadership speech, have a listen to him. He's unbelievable.
Was it Nick Saban?
Yeah, he's retired now, but he was the head coach of Alabama.
Yep.
So the greatest, one of the greatest college football teams ever. And when he recruited, and it was hard for him because in college, obviously, you recruit teenagers. So teenagers come in that are arrogant, that think they're the best, 5 stars out of 5. And then he just molded them into workaholics that they didn't talk about trophies. So he'd never spoke about trophies with them. All he would talk about is working hard today. And then when that day is over, you work hard tomorrow.
Yep.
And then if you win, great, we won. Let's work hard Monday. And he would never talk about trophies, but he won like 9 or 10 in his career.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And the funny thing is like, you never spoke about the trophy, but he knew how to get there.
Yeah.
But he never told them.
So it's more about the journey, right? Than the destination.
So he knew if you created great people, it would lead you to the same outcome. So I remember he was doing this leadership speech and they won 8 in a row. They would always go undefeated.
Wow.
Yeah. So they would rarely lose.
Undefeated.
Yeah. So they only play, 15 or 16 games, but they would sometimes go undefeated.
Yeah.
And he told the story where he got 8 weeks into the season. They were 8-0.
Yeah.
And, they flogged each other in fitness, gym, professionalism, perfection. And they got to round 8 and one of his star players was saying, Coach, why the hell are we doing fitness? We're 8-0. He goes, why are we doing fitness? He goes, well, how did we get to 8-0? He goes, you did fitness. He goes, so we're going to continue to do fitness. And just listening to that, like you're never satisfied. I always used to, even though I played 122 NRL games, if I played 1, I wanted to deserve to play 2. And if I played 6 good games in a row, I wanted to earn the right to play 7 games. Yeah. So every day that I came to training, I wanted to compete to earn that spot again. And when I was listening to him, every day I took that mentality of you might have a good Sunday, but it doesn't guarantee you a good following Sunday.
Yeah.
And he said this, this quote. He goes, "Success isn't momentum or momentous." He said this word. So the moment you stop and think you're successful, that's when success will stop.
Yeah, right.
He goes, success is, I forget the word he used, but every day you have to be successful because then it'll build momentum.
Yeah.
And the moment you think I've done enough to be successful, that's when it stops.
Yeah, right. So it's like you got to earn it every day. It's like
If
the
that
rent's
makes
due
sense,
every
yeah.
day, right? Yeah,
So
that's
if-
what I'm sort of taking from
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So if you earn, say if you earn $1 million a year,
Yeah.
you're not guaranteed to earn $1 million the second year. You got to do the same stuff or probably even more.
Better. Yeah.
Better because now you're hunted. Now people are after you. How did you make $1 million?
Yeah.
And then now you got to work harder the next year. It's like him, they won a trophy. And he goes, well, now we have to work harder because people have circled Alabama on the schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the team to beat.
Yeah.
They're going to come
So
out there
now
and
instead
smash
of
them.
doing 10 reps of fitness, we might have to do 15.
Yeah.
So like that was his mentality. And I always listen to him and try to take it into life that, you know, no day is the same. You might have bad days. You know, you might have bad days, but the next day, let's try and make it better than the previous day.
And we're all going to have bad days, right?
Exactly.
It's a part of life, man.
You
Like,
might,
nothing's a
prepare to
guarantee.
perfection.
Yeah.
You might wake up and it'll be the fucking worst day of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the next day is a new day that you can be better than the previous day.
Yeah.
And if you just slowly do that, more things will come. Good things come for some reason.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's because you're putting in the work, man. You know, like
you might think it's random that good things are happening to you, but it's just momentum. They build up. Next minute, people are approaching you. They see you talk different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They see that spark in your eyes or the new, you know, the fit body that you have or the, you know, the new things you have. And they wonder, what's going on in your life? You go, I'm just building each day.
Yeah.
So that's something as a mentor, as a coaching mentor, I've had great coaches. You know, they've taught me everything I know today. But as a mentor, he's probably the one that I look to just because he recruits people and just builds them and breaks them down and makes them, you know, humble workaholics that appreciate what they have, but then they win trophies. So they get the same outcome, but he breaks them down to.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that because it's like he's like focusing on the journey, right? And it's just all about the journey, not looking at the destination. It's like the journey will get you to the destination, but you got to enjoy the journey.
If you're stressing about the destination, you lose track of what steps are needed to get there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. No, I love that, man. That's cool. It's very interesting that like it wasn't sort of someone that was like directly, you know what I mean, like giving you information, sort of like one-on-one, personalized to you.
Yeah,
it's almost like you're breaking down this information.
I had teammates and that helped me when I was struggling and that, but. You know, if someone that I'd sit to and just watch, you know, leadership speeches and
that's cool. I'm gonna go check him out, man.
I promise you, he has stuff on YouTube everywhere. Him and Bill Belichick sit down for a chat. And Bill Belichick's the greatest winning coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
And
I
so
know Belichick,
he coaches adults.
Yep.
Nick Saban coaches teenagers.
Yeah.
So Bill Belichick gets them when they're already ready for being professionals.
Yep.
And then Nick Saban gets them from 17-year-olds and then builds them into professionals.
Yeah.
So they sit down and chat.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting chat about two elite coaches that have different responsibilities, just telling them how they get to win the trophy, really. Bill Belichick's won the most Super Bowls ever.
That's crazy, dude. I'm super interested, especially to listen to that chat, but the Nick Saban stuff, because it's like you're almost like you're molding someone from the start. You know what I mean? Whereas like Belichick's probably taking more people who are potentially proven performers and getting to fit into things and whatnot. But he's like molding,
and he also
especially
molds,
talent.
You know, 5-star arrogance that
Yeah.
Because in America they rate them out of stars. So once
Oh, really?
Yeah. So kids coming out of high school, they're rated out of 5. 5 stars elite. Then it goes all the way down to 0 stars.
Yeah, right.
So
Fuck, imagine getting
and they have
0.
a profile. So they would have a Sam Gordon 0 stars.
Oh, thanks, bro.
And the whole country, you know what I mean? The whole country could see it. And like that's brutal.
That is brutal, man. For a
400
teenager.
million people that live in America, and there's you, Corey Thompson, 0 stars. I'll change the name.
Thanks, bro.
0 stars. Sam Gordon, 5 stars. But then Nick Saban either creates the 0 star, turns him into a 5-star, or really just breaks down the 5-star to say, hold up, you're not as flashy as you think you are.
He
molds them into these just professional men that graduate with their, you know, degrees or diplomas.
Yep.
And because he always tells them like the percentage to make the NFL is tiny.
Yep.
So he molds them into good men that if they don't make the NFL, they've got a great degree.
They'll succeed
behind them
something
that
else.
they can go into. So yeah, if you watch him, he's a great person.
100%, bro. No, that's awesome, man. I'm really actually keen to go and check that out and see some of his stuff.
Yeah.
That's sick, man. That's sick.
So it's good.
I love that, mate. I love that. Man, speaking about that as well, and like what do you, from the boys that you've played with or even played against, played with, whatever it is, there's some guys that have been around for a long time and they're the greats, right? The true greats. What do you think separates them from everyone else?
Yeah, so they're probably their willingness not to rely on their talent.
Okay.
So they outsmart you. Like they understand sort of where you're going to be before you get there.
Mhm.
They know, they see stuff before it happens. So like you might bounce in a defensive line and they've already figured out what play is going to work.
Yeah.
And then they set you up. It's like playing chess. They'll hit short, they'll hit short, they'll hit short. And then you think, you
He's gonna
idiot,
hit short.
you've hit short the whole time.
Yeah.
Are you stupid?
Boom.
Bang, next minute they've set you up. They get you in this false sense of, safety that you think, oh, how good we're defending. But all they do is for 10 minutes.
Yep.
They just watch. They're just watching your defensive.
And then
line,
you're going to question it the whole way through the first time they get you.
And they're just watching you. They're waiting. They're playing chess with you. So I think the greats, they're smarter than, some boys, they rely on their talent too much.
And athleticism.
I'm faster than him, so I don't need to be smarter because I'll just run around him, or I'm stronger than him, so I don't have to be smarter. But Cameron Smith, smart. He was a hooker. He wasn't big, but he was good at wrestling. So he was smarter than you. He'd get those big fellas and use their weight against them.
Yep.
When they ran through him, he would just let them run and then turn them.
Yeah.
And the next minute, the big fella's on their back.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah. So the greats, they're sort of smarter than
the
they
intelligence
outsmart
piece.
you. Yeah. They don't just use their physical strength. They outsmart you. They study the game. They spend all week watching film and figuring out your weakness that you might not even know you have. And then when you come to the game, you have this, false sense of, fuck, we don't have any weakness. We're all good. Next minute, your whole team's just been exploited.
Just dominated.
Yeah. So I think that's what separates them, the commitment to the game or that they bring that.
Yeah.
They just study the hell out of it. It's their life. They watch film. They figure out, who carries it in their right hand compared to their left hand, who's poor at their left shoulder tackles, who's lazy in defense, who takes shortcuts. Like I said, if you take shortcuts, you'll get found out. If you take shortcuts during the week, the opposition, they will find you out real quick.
Yeah.
Because you've got 80 minutes of fitness and grunt and that they'll just find you out straight away.
Who do you reckon was the most intelligent player you ever played with?
That I played with?
Yeah.
That's a good question. So the most intelligent player, Josh Morris, was very good.
Okay.
So I grew up playing fullback my whole juniors. And when I debuted for the Bulldogs, he threw me on the wing. And I had Josh Morris inside me as a center. And he was State of Origin, Australia. And he just spoke everything that I needed to do. He just spoke to me.
Yeah, right.
So he was inside me. He goes, Corey, bounce. Corey, this shape's coming. He would know what shape's coming.
Hectic.
He would say, you're going to jam and get the 2-man.
Yeah.
I'll go jam and get the fullback out the back.
Yeah.
He would see what's coming. He goes, I'm going to be stuck here. You'll have to go. So he pretty much told me when I was playing, my first year, everything that I needed to do. And it sort of made me learn that your talk can help so much. So like when I was on the wing as a senior player, I would talk to my inside and I'd say, say Brian Kelly was my center. Brian, let's bounce here. We got to get up. They're all tight pop. Just relax. We don't need to stress out here. When I drop back on fourth tackle, I'd say, I'm not there anymore. Don't jam because I'm not there. Then he would be calm because he heard like a role, a job outside.
Yeah. You're working as a unit rather than as an individual.
Well, that's what it is. You as a 13 or a 12, because the fullback's not there, you have to work as a unit. You go up, especially as a winger center, you just mirror each other essentially. The whole game, if the center jams, you jam. If he slides, you slide. You just mirror each other. And you see teams that get caught out, the wing will slide, the center will jam, the center slides, the winger jams. They're not in sync. Good teams, you see them flow with each other. They go up, they go in, they go out. They're all in together, the whole edge. So
yeah, that's cool. So Morris was just like a playmaker.
Oh, he was just the way he spoke and led just was so smart, especially as a winger. I'm not sure inside. Michael Ennis was smart for the forwards. Trent Hodkinson. I played with Benji Marshall.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, so at the West Tigers, he was so smart. He was one of those players that was so instinctive. I was fullback for him. And he's their head coach now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Benji was, he was such an idol growing up, and he would throw these no-look inside balls.
Yeah.
And he would goose step, pop it up, and if I'm not there, I'm stuffed. Like,
right.
It's my job to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he would just know what play. He would goose step. 3 players would follow him, and he would just throw it over his left shoulder.
And then boom, you through.
And then I would just go straight through.
Hectic.
And he would just no look. He would like look at you.
Yeah.
But then out of his peripheral, know where that winger is, and then just rip a 20-meter cutout pass straight to my chest.
Hectic, eh?
And their wingers looking around going, what the fuck just happened? He was so good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon was the the most intelligent player you ever played against? It just like tore
well,
you guys
I played
apart?
against the Storm
Like
team
Slater
when
and
they
that.
had Slater, Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, and
Crazy, eh?
the smart players, they don't win the game instantly.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. They wear you down. They just
It's a war.
they
It's
just
almost like a war
suffocate
rather than-
you. They just it could be 0-0 after 60 minutes, and they're happy with that. They're fine. Well, sweet. Let's see how deep you can go.
Yeah.
And then they'll just kick to the corner. The defensive line will tighten up, and then it's just a game of chess. You're just looking up, going, "Fuck, like what's going to happen?" They don't make errors. They don't give away penalties.
Yeah.
They're disciplined. They just kick, chase. They stick to their structure. They don't waver. Whether it's if they're up by 40, or they're losing going into halftime. They just that team back in 14, 15 were just full of leaders that just suffocated just slowly, and they were happy for that slow grind. They didn't care if they got success in the first minute, but they knew the outcome that they wanted to achieve.
Yeah. They weren't playing minute by minute. They were playing for the game and knew that it was all tactical play.
They would just go set for set.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys defended really well? Beautiful. Let's see how long you can defend well for. And if it's 79th minute, oh, you guys defended really well. Let's see how you can defend well. And they would just, whoever broke. And if you made an error down your end, then they capitalized.
It was game over.
They would just score a try. But then they would get back into that suffocation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they'd kick it to the corner and then you'd make an error, then they'd score. And then I'd get back into that suffocation. And it was just a game of just chess.
And that it sounds like they were just like that team that just like,
and they wouldn't always win. So that's the beauty of it. So like that doesn't guarantee you a win.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because some teams just prepare, like they come to play as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always prepare to win, but it's that consistency of, and they won many grand finals.
Yeah.
So it's that consistency of just building habits, good habits that eventually become, the type of person you are.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. I love it. Mate, if there was one piece that you would take away of the best advice you ever copped in your career as well, whether it was from a Nick Saban or from someone individual, some little piece that you reckon was the best piece of advice you got?
Like the best advice I ever seen was pretty much just believe in yourself. That's what I would took with me my whole career.
Yeah.
Just back yourself. Believe in yourself, whether you get dropped from a team or a business thing falls through or you don't get that thing, believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just quit. You might not win the game or you might fail on something, but do not quit. Do not quit is probably the biggest thing that I've ever, do not give up. Like there'll be things in life that knock you down, but my motivation and what I tell people is you get back up every single time.
Yeah.
You face that problem face on and then you just keep running.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then whether you're not successful in that, but it will build you as a successful person that you can achieve something else in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, man. And if you were to pick like the most consistent character trait that you saw in those top 1%, you said intelligence before as well. Would there anything else that goes with it? Is it that never give up, that never say die attitude? Competitiveness.
Like even you could probably be competitive in your industry. That willingness to say, I'm fucking going to beat you. Like as an athlete, like I was laughing with my competitive nature. So one of the wellbeing officers, he's a marathon runner.
Yeah, right.
Runs his fit as. And I said, fuck, you know what's funny? Like I'm probably that naive and competitive that I would tell myself I could beat you. You know what I mean? Like,
because you want that bad.
I probably couldn't. You know what I mean? Like I'm a realist. Like I wouldn't beat him. But like if he goes to me, Corey, we're going to race tomorrow. We're doing a marathon. In my mind, like in that competitive nature that probably, great people have, I would say, fuck oath, we're racing.
Yeah.
And I would try and beat you. And like me being that competitive, it probably puts doubt in his mind too. He goes, fuck.
Yeah, it would make him question.
He might actually fucking beat me. But
this guy been training for like years. He's been training with Lil for a year.
But I feel like even with you, like your competitive nature, like that's what puts you where you are now. You're competitive.
100%.
You don't quit. You keep grinding. You might fail on something, but you wake up tomorrow and you keep going. You're competitive. You're not satisfied with just, the basics.
Yeah.
Whether it's anything basic, like, oh, I'm happy. You're not satisfied. And that could be anything. My career, I want to progress higher. I want to run further. And, I'm not saying you get to a point and you're just satisfied with life, but there's always something else you can improve.
Yeah.
Your career might be the best it could ever be, but what else could you improve?
Yeah. 100%.
Could you redo the backyard? Could you run further? Could you bench, more? Could you, help your kid with something?
Yeah.
There's always something to improve.
Yeah, for sure. It's that competitiveness.
Yeah.
Biggest thing, eh? It's so true. Like it's It's funny when you say that around business side of things, man. I think why we are so like at such a high level in terms of what we do is exactly that, man. I hate losing, man. Like when people in front, when I was first coming through and there was people in front of me, I hated anyone in front of me. You know what I mean? It would just make me chase.
Yeah.
And then when I get in front of everyone else, then it's just like, okay, so well, now I'm still competing against myself and I want to get better and better each year.
And then,
you know,
there might be someone coming behind you.
Probably, man. 100%.
You know what I mean? But
then it's like, good luck. Let's fucking go.
It's like with football. So when I was coming through and I'm in reserve grade, and I tell the reserve grade boys to this day, say if I'm in reserve grade and you're in first grade, I want to take your jersey, but it's your job not to let me take your jersey. 100%. And then it just builds this healthy competition.
Elite competition.
I'm coming to get you. Well, fuck, you're not coming to get me. And the next minute you're both up here.
Yeah.
And it just builds this health competition where you're both after the same goal, but it's sort of just this healthy, I'm coming to get you, no, you're not. And you just push each other.
Yeah.
Just like if someone's coming to get you, you say, no, you're not.
Yeah, 100%.
But then you're probably proud of him for coming to get you.
Yeah. And it makes you go harder.
Yeah, and you just keep going.
And you get better and better and better as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's someone that you're chasing.
Yeah.
And then they're probably going, you're not getting me. So.
Yeah.
And then they're just going, it's just a endless cycle of you chasing someone, chasing you.
Yeah.
So it's like footy as well.
I love that, mate. I love that. Well, mate, I appreciate it so much for you coming and joining us, man. That's everything I've got that I wanted to run through, man. It's it's been a crazy journey, and I really, really appreciate you coming in and sharing it, mate.
That's all good. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, took some great value out of it, or you want to send it on to someone else that could take some great value out of this episode, please make sure you send it on. We really appreciate everyone getting around this thing, sending it on, building the audience of people listening to the Top 1% podcast. And on that note, if you haven't left us a 5-star review yet, make sure you jump on there. You leave us a 5-star review. The more reviews, the more subscribes and follows that we get on your favorite listening platform, the bigger, the better. I won't say the better because he's an absolute legend, but the bigger guests, more guests that we get on that have achieved.
Get some bigger guests on here.
Maybe we'll get the 610. We'll get a couple of 610s. We can't get a better bloke, but I don't think. But make sure you jump on there, you leave your 5-star review, and you hit that follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform. And until next week, guys, that's another Top 1% podcast.